Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we embark on a wondrous journey, one that will carry you across vast oceans, into lands unseen, and through the pages of one of literature's most imaginative tales, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. This is a story of discovery, adventure, and the marvels of the unknown. But do not worry. Our voyage tonight is not one of turmoil, but of gentle waves and soft winds, guiding you into restful slumber. Close your eyes. Imagine the vastness of the sea, stretching endlessly before you. The ship rocks ever so lightly, cradling you in its rhythm. Stars glisten overhead, twinkling like whispers in the night. And now, let us begin. Part 1. The Land of the Little People. Lilliput Gulliver was a man of curiosity, a traveler at heart, always seeking new lands and adventures. He had set sail with high hopes. But the sea can be unpredictable. One night, as the storm raged and the waves crashed against the ship's hull, Gulliver was thrown into the vast ocean. He struggled, reaching for something, anything, until, at last, the waters calmed, and he felt solid ground beneath him. He awoke to a strange sensation. His limbs were tied down, his body bound by hundreds of tiny ropes. Blinking against the bright sun, he tried to move, but found himself completely restrained. And then he saw them. Tiny figures, no taller than a few inches, climbing over him like ants. Lilliput. A land of miniature people, where the tallest citizen stood no higher than Gulliver's thumb. At first, they were afraid of him, this giant who had washed up on their shores. But in time, they came to see Gulliver not as a monster, but as a friend. He watched their tiny armies march in perfect lines, their delicate hands sewing the finest silks. He listened to their grand debates in voices so small they seemed like birds chirping. He was a guest in a world built on precision, where even the smallest of tasks was an art form. But in Lilliput, politics were as fierce as they were in the world Gulliver knew. The people quarreled over the silliest things, whether an egg should be cracked from the large end or the small. Their wars, fought over trivial disagreements, seemed absurd to Gulliver. And so, one day, he left. The ocean called to him once more. Part 2. The Land of Giants. Brobdingnag Gulliver's next voyage took him to a land unlike any other. When he awoke, the world had changed once more. But this time, it was he who was small. The land of Brobdingnag was a place where everything was enormous. Grass grew taller than trees, flowers loomed like towers, and the people, oh, the people, were giants. A farmer's child picked Gulliver up as if he were a doll, cradling him in her gentle hands. He marveled at the way they spoke, their deep voices rumbling like distant thunder. But life among the giants was not without its dangers. Birds were monstrous creatures, their talons sharp as daggers. A simple gust of wind could send him tumbling. Even the softest touch from a giant could be overwhelming. And yet, despite the vastness of their world, the Brobdingnagians were kind. Their king listened to Gulliver's stories of England, shaking his head at the follies of mankind. "You boast of your weapons, your wars, your politics," the king said. "But to us, it is nothing more than the squabbling of insects." Once again, Gulliver saw his own world reflected back at him, its pettiness, its ambition, its strange contradictions. But the sea called to him once more, and so he set sail again. Part 3. The Land of Floating Knowledge. Laputa. This time, Gulliver found himself among scholars, thinkers, and philosophers on an island that floated high above the earth, carried by magnetic forces. The people of Laputa were consumed by knowledge. They studied the stars, measured the winds, and calculated the movements of the planets. But for all their wisdom, they were often lost in thought, unable to see the world right in front of them. Gulliver marveled at their inventions, their theories, their endless debates, and yet he wondered, what good was knowledge if it did not bring joy? They think too much, he mused, and in thinking, they forget how to live. Once more, Gulliver left, seeking the unknown, searching for meaning beyond what the mind could measure. Part 4. The Land of Noble Horses. The Houyhnhnms at last, Gulliver reached his final destination, a land where horses, not men, ruled. The Houyhnhnms were creatures of pure reason, noble and graceful. They lived in perfect harmony, speaking in soft, melodic voices, their eyes filled with wisdom. But not all in this land was peaceful. Among them lived the Yahoos, creatures that looked like men, but acted like beasts. They were wild, greedy, and cruel, ruled by their base desires. The Houyhnhnms, seeing Gulliver's intelligence, welcomed him among them. He lived in their world, embraced their way of thinking. He came to believe that perhaps men were no better than Yahoos, that reason, not emotion, should guide life. And yet, as much as he longed to stay, he knew he could not. The sea called to him one final time. And so, dear traveler, we drift back from these wondrous lands. The tides carry us home, gently, softly, rocking you into rest. Gulliver's journey has ended, but yours continues through the realm of dreams where adventure awaits you. Close your eyes now and let the stars guide you to sleep till we meet again.